Yeah,
Amazing. And thank you very much for sharing that. That makes me very happy. Thank you. I'm so excited.
he's actually gonna call me Friday. Let me know what time he'll be. 'Cause I think- yeah,
You did it.
yeah, you were
You flipping did it. I'm so, I'm like so happy.
trying. I'm in prayer.
Oh my gosh. Well, Rodney has been blowing up my phone. So he finally understands
Yeah,
the whole thing about like if you buy something that's more expensive, your payments will go up. If you buy something cheaper, they'll go down. So he wants to see the one in Banning.
oh,
I know. I was surprised too
yeah, you
because
showed it.
I know.
Yes.
So we're going to show him that and then we can tell him because we have all the tools now. We can show him, okay, on this one, your payments will be this. On this one, that way he'll be totally informed.
Yes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
He
So,
really didn't want to go banning, so for him.
no, he did not. He was like the drive and, whatever.
Mhm. So it's good to show them even though they don't
Yeah.
want to go.
You know what? Yeah, I've noticed that, sometimes we know things that they don't know and sometimes it's good to just take a chance,
Yes.
you know?
Look what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I am so happy for you, Adam. That just makes me like so freaking happy. Okay, how come nobody's on? Okay, so let me send the link. Maybe that's it. I would call them toppers.
Toppers?
I've been calling them toppers.
Okay.
So if we
So
stick
the
with
other
that,
estimate, I was gonna put how much you were quoted from that vendor, but that it's including the pieces and installation,
right?
but I didn't know what to call them. So
Yeah,
toppers is.
yeah, yeah. Hello, guys.
Morning.
I have some exciting news.
Excited to hear it.
Yeah, good morning. I'm excited to hear it
Adam,
too.
Adam was making phone calls and he has an appointment.
Yay!
Amazing.
Spanish speaking.
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I could not be happier. I'm beside myself.
Yes. Is he in
Great.
the office right now?
He's right there. I see him right here. He's in our meeting.
Nice. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Chad. Thank you.
Great job.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, staying consistent and doing what you're doing. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a testament to, we say to do these things that don't make sense, but if you just do them,
Yeah,
it
but
turns out.
absolutely.
Yeah. If I could only follow my own advice.
Right. Or if there were more time in the day.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty lucky. I have a lot of help around here. So I really have no excuse.
Yeah, but you are a busy woman.
Yeah.
You are. We're
You know what happened? The first set of phone calls I made to agents went really well because they were, they'd just been told that their brokerage was sold and now they'd have more fees. And so they were kind of open to what I had to say. The second group, I just went from agents who have active listings and they were not willing to talk to me at all.
yeah. Well, and two, they're probably happy where they're at because they are closing deals.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a
exactly.
little bit more difficult. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Right. Yeah. But it's like anything else. You got to call 10 to get one.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard not to get discouraged, right, Adam? Yeah. But
Yeah.
if you do it with a partner, like Adam and I were doing them together, he would do one, then I would do one, then he would do one, and then Mike and I were doing them together. It kind of helps because that negative energy that you get from people, you can kind of look at your partner and go, "Oh my God," and just it's easier to brush it off if
Absolutely.
you have somebody with you. I was thinking this might be a fun idea, is like have a a follow-up roundup, for an hour. We just sit in there and we do our follow-up calls.
I like that idea because it will make us do it, right?
I
How often
know.
that just gets put on the back burner
All the
all
time.
the time.
I would rather do my ironing.
Exactly. And we always have an excuse for why it's on the back burner because we always have something else to do.
There's a reason for that.
Yes.
But I thought that might be fun. Is like on Wednesdays, like when we used to do oh my God, Ashley, I wanted to tell you. So Beatrice, she is now a student. She wants to pick up where you left off on Wednesdays and have a study sesh.
That's great.
I know. So I'm
Good.
excited. Yeah, but like after the study sesh, maybe we can do the follow-up roundup and just do like calls for an hour. And trust me, an hour goes by so fast when you're doing that,
What if
and
you
it's like,
have that for kind of like an agent open time where we can work and do whatever we need to do, but also have support if we need it?
I love it. I love it. It doesn't have to be one thing or another. It's whatever you
Yeah,
need.
like come with whatever you need help on or whatever you're working on. So that way we're working together, like you said,
Yeah.
but
I
we're all
love
moving
that.
towards whatever our individual goals are.
Right. Because like everybody's in a different spot. Um, Adam's working on I don't know, is your guy a buyer? He's a buyer, right? He wants to buy in Hesperia. So, maybe he's working with a buyer and maybe you're working with a seller, but you're all working. So I freaking love that and I would love to hear more about that. Let's do that for reals. I want that. All right. Where is Scott? Where's our guy? Did he? No, he did not text me. Let me see where he's at. Hi, Carla. Is she in her car?
Hello,
She's in her car. Oh my
I
gosh.
am again. I live in the car.
You do. I hope you drive a nice car. Are you still driving that nice car?
I still have the BMW, and this one's a Mercedes, so it's not so bad. It's
Well,
pretty. It's a mommy wagon.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's my
God.
mommy. See my car seat in the back.
I do. Oh my gosh. I love it. You drive nice cars.
Yeah.
Period. I love,
Oh,
well,
thank you.
Tanya too. Tanya drives a Tesla and I love her car too.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of,
Bobby, don't
where is
we have a
she?
matching? We have one matching. You still have the BMW,
Yeah,
the white one, right?
we're car twinsies.
Yes, yes, I remember.
I'm just gonna see where Tanya's at too.
Monica, do you have a voice? Is it back? Oh no! Oh no!
I know she got a nasty virus that just hangs on for weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I got a cold bad, which I usually always do this time of year, but this strain for some reason just like totally made me lose my voice for the last week. So it's coming back a little bit. I sound, I don't know, maybe Italian with like 5 packs a day at this point.
Oh my.
But, it's getting there.
Oh,
2 more days and
oh,
I'll just be super sexy and then I'll go back to normal.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. That's when you need to record everything when you're at that
Mm.
sexy point.
On my recording day, I'll remember that. Yeah.
I know. You'll get it back for you'll be New Year's Monica.
That's
Carla,
right.
did your offer get accepted?
So mine's it's contingent upon park approval and that we are going through now. So they got the park application.
Good, good.
This
Fantastic.
client in particular was already fully underwritten, but they fell out of escrow due to the house. So the house just wasn't that great. So the lenders pretty much like just updated pay stubs, updated bank statements every time we find a new home. So we did find one, and the park, they took forever. And even the listing agent, he said, I've never heard of this before. I was like, yeah, welcome to manufactured home approvals with. So the park manager stated that they do not have the land lease amount until they get an offer.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
said, well, that's awkward because typically they can give a seller like an approximate land lease amount or something. And they said, nope, once we get an offer, then we give it to you. And I'm like, based on what? It's not like we're sending over financials with the offer, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, even the listing agent, he said, do you find that odd? I said, no, because with manufactured homes, welcome to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's the same way.
Mm-hmm,
Carla,
mm-hmm.
I ask which park are you dealing with?
Starlight Mobile Home Park in Covina.
Okay. Because yeah, that's happening with mine too, the listing I have. And it's kind of a deterrent for a lot of buyers because they don't know what the park fee is going to be, the lease amount for the land. So yeah, I guess maybe it's just kind of happening everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird, and I say this all the time. I'd rather sell $1 million home.
I agree. Let's do it.
I know manufactured homes, it never fails. They are difficult. I mean, I understand they want to get away from the stigma of having, drug dealers running through because that was a whole thing. The more stringent we are, we take away the stigma of it being like a manufactured home poopy area, right? But now we fell out of escrow or canceled the escrow prior to this because the gross income needed for the new buyer was $7,600 gross. Okay, well, if we're at if I'm at $8,000 a month gross, let me go get a little condo, right? But she was stringent. She added this was her name was Allison. She was in Laverne. And my buyers had $7,100 gross. And I said, there's always incentive in housing in general when you have good credit. There is a good credit incentive. They had very low debt. There has to be some type of incentive to curve the few $1,000s. Let me give her credit on my end. She said no. At this time, she was adding the $300 in utilities. She was adding on, and then she had the seller she wanted them to repair the outside of the home. So they said, no, we're not. So the new buyer, they came with a $5,000 estimate of exterior repairs that were mandatory within the first 30 to 45 days after purchase, after
Wow.
closing. Yes, her name is Allison. She's a monster. If you ever come across this park, just be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want
Mhm.
All right, guys. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I want to get to our topic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we can definitely chit chat about this situation after if you want. It sounds like it's horrendous. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the listing appointment, and kind of the listing, the whole process, because to be honest, we're not just going to have one listing appointment. The preparing to take a listing is a series of appointments, and it's a series of actions that we take. Monica, do you want to go through this, or do you want me to take it and then you can come in as you feel comfortable? Or I don't know how your voice is doing.
Sorry, I keep having trouble turning the mic on and off. It doesn't like my finger today. Yeah, if you could, just because one, I don't know how well you guys can hear me. And I can jump in with anything.
Okay.
The handout I texted out to everybody is gonna go onto our training drive as well, along with the other two videos that I had done like last year, I think, on exactly this topic too, how to get ready for the listing appointment and how to do the listing appointment. And the video from today too, the replays will be there, plus any other resources. I think Chaz was gonna work on that, so after the call later today, maybe everybody can get a link to the drive one more time, just to have all those resources in one place for now.
Yeah.
And I'll jump in where I can.
Okay.
Yeah, please, thank you.
Yeah.
Cause just like,
problem.
nobody wants to listen to this right now.
It's not that bad, but I just don't want you to hurt yourself.
Mhm.
All right, so the whole process. So first of all, how do you know when your client is ready? When people are ready to list their house, they're going to tell you. It's not something like in a buying situation, a buyer could, wait a little while. They could, depending on what, where they work or their transportation requirements, maybe they've moved to a new job. But it seems like with buyers, they have other options. They can rent, they can stay with someone, they can, do different things. But when somebody is ready to list their home, it's a big deal for them. They're looking at packing up their whole house. They've already gone through a lot of thinking at this point. When you're coming into the process, they've already done a lot of this thinking it through. They've looked at their values. They kind of know what they want to get for their house. The part that you're going to play is to ease them through this difficult process in a way where you're solving their problems. You are coming in and making it less difficult for them. So when you make that appointment, and honestly, it's not going to be called a listing appointment. And I think that's sometimes confusing for newer agents, because you're not necessarily going to say to them, let's make a listing appointment. In my case, it's usually, for example, I got a call from somebody. Oh, Scott's really sick, you guys. Boo. Anyway, well, wish him well. In my case, this last time, and actually a lot of times, they'll just call me up and say, look, I'm thinking about selling, and I'd like to talk about it. So I know it's a listing appointment. They don't necessarily know it's a listing appointment. And we'll talk about it. And along with that conversation is going to be like, what are you going to do? You know, once you sell your house, you need to find you know, somewhere to live. Are you going to use the proceeds to buy another house? So most of the time when you're talking to somebody about a listing, you're also talking to them about buying or renting or whatever their next move is. And you know, as realtors go, you know, that's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for listings. Those are the ones that kind of are our bread and butter. You know, the buyers we sprinkle in, you know, as extras, but we're really looking to list homes. All right. So before you head over to your client's place, um, there's a lot of things that need to be discussed. But first and foremost, you want to be able to tell them how much they're looking at getting. How much are you going to list your house for? And like I said, they've already done their own research. They already kind of know in the back of their head what they want and, you know, what they're going to get out of it. But what you are going to bring in is those exact figures, because as we know, you know, sellers tend to inflate the value of their home. They live there. They did this. They built that whatever, you know, so it's more valuable to them than it is to the rest of the world. So it's really important to come in and be able to prove what you're saying, be able to back it up. You know, because we have to kind of get over their own, you know, value that they've conjured up in their head. So you want to definitely have some sort of pre-listing presentation. You want to be able to show them the comparables. I like to, when I'm giving values, I like to do the CMA, which if you don't know how to do a CMA, I think it's a good thing to at least try. It is pretty self-explanatory. You go to the Cloud CMA on your matrix or on your MLS. You'll see the matrix and then you see Cloud CMA. Click in that, just give it a shot. It kind of walks you through pretty well.
And if you
And
guys want to do a training on that, we can definitely do that, as well as
yeah,
maybe a training on how to do it through the MLS. Because like
yeah,
I was talking with Ashley about this a week or two ago when she was trying to do this for land.
yeah,
And the cloud CMA feature is great for houses, especially houses that are in a typical suburban neighborhood where there's similar homes nearby. For
yeah,
land, it sucks. It just royally sucks. And so to try to do it through that method was a waste of time.
yeah,
It was better to go through the MLS to pick
yeah.
out the proper comps. So if you guys want to do those two trainings, we can do those on a different day too.
I would love to do that.
Please add in the text in our group text anytime you come across something that you don't know how to do, you want more help with, you want more training on, you want more understanding about, put it in there. Hey, we want a training on this. I want a training on this. Just add
Yeah.
it. You know, let us know, because you know, we don't know until somebody says something.
So that's something Chaz and I are going to work on, and we want to pull you in on it to make
Yeah.
this training, because I'm seeing the gaps and we're all seeing the gaps. So now we can actually build it right.
Good.
Yes. Get that going.
Awesome. Yeah, and another thing is I want to be able to put out a schedule ahead of time so that if there's training coming up that you feel like, oh, I don't really need that, you can skip. You know, you don't have to waste your time. You can do something else during that time. And vice versa, if it's something that you really do want, then you know, make sure that you're there. So back to listing. So I like to find different places to grab the values. There's Zestimate. There is, I think Redfin has their own. The MLS has their own. AVM value. I call it the MLS's Zestimate. You do the comparables report, the CMA, and then take all these values and combine them into a value that takes everything into account. Because when you have a Zestimate going out or a Redfin value going out, and you have the general public relying on that, it becomes reliable, if that makes any sense. So you want to use all of those values. And when you do combine them, you're going to come up with a great value, a great listing price, something that you can show your client and they will jump on board with you because you're showing them, look, I got these values from these, places. And then, what that's going to give you some credibility with them because that's what they're using, right?
Can I add a
Yeah.
suggestion
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah.
That you can, when going over this with a seller, because obviously that's got to be one of the most important things, right? Like, that's what they want to know. What can we sell it for? What am I going to end up with?
Yeah.
I suggest it's good to give a range. So you show the comps and you say, okay, here's the range of market value for this home. Have that range be kind of tight, not too huge, right? But then offer options for what list price you could start at within that range, and explain to them the differences. Like, we could start here, slightly below the average, slightly below the median of this range, and we'll probably get a lot more eyeballs on it, a lot more offers perhaps, a lot more people competing for the number. And hopefully it drives up the price to the high end of this range. We could start, somewhere in the higher bit if you want as well. This is what's going to happen if we do that. It might sit on the market a little bit longer. You're going to be looking for just the right buyer. But, by giving them, explaining the different ways that you could go, at that point, it's not you telling them this is how it has to be. It's not you trying to convince them. You're saying, which one do you want to go, A or B? Pick an option. What
Yeah.
works better for you?
Right.
Because maybe for them, speed is important. Maybe for them, getting the most is important, whatever. But at least they're the ones deciding, and they can't say, well, you told me to do this and it didn't work how you said, blah, blah, blah,
You
blah,
don't
blah.
want that.
I think that's the one thing that a lot of agents do. They try to pressure sellers into, here's the way I think we should do it, because of course that'll make it the easiest for them to sell the house.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I think, sellers aren't stupid. They're kind of catching on to this, and, they want to know that you're being real with them and that they can trust what information you're giving them. Just let them know what the options are. At the end of the day, it's not on you. They're the ones making the call.
Yeah, and the more that they have a say in the decision, like what you said, Monica, they feel more in control of it, and they take the responsibility too, as well. If it's not moving very fast, well, I picked that high price, so
And
that's
it becomes that team dynamic more,
right.
because they trust you're giving them all the info. They
Mhm.
hate feeling like you're holding information back from
Mhm.
them. So I feel like then when things don't go as expected, which is bound to happen sooner or later,
Mhm.
they're not just gonna pound on you.
Right.
They're gonna come back to, okay, let's figure it out together.
Right. And, I like the idea of a range because a lot of times they have some control over how well their house shows. You can say, this is the range, especially if you're meeting offsite, if you're not meeting at the location, at the house, you give them a range and you say, okay, it might come at the lower part of this range, depending on the condition of your carpet, the condition of the flooring, the condition of the kitchen. If your kitchen isn't, as up to date as it could be, then you're probably going to fall in the lower part of this. So they could kind of evaluate that on their own. What I like to do is when we are talking, and honestly, I prefer to do the first meeting with a seller offsite so that we could kind of get away from, what we're going to be listing and kind of show them more of an objective view of what the market's doing and what you can expect out of your listing based on what is out there already. The way I like to say it is these are your competitors. I'd like to show them what's on the market now, the closest listing to their property as you can find, which is great when you're in a housing development and all the houses are pretty much alike. You're going to find something that's very, very close. It gets more difficult when you're dealing with land or you're dealing with homes that aren't in a housing development that are very unique. So you're having to find comparables based on lot size, square footage, number of bathrooms, number of bedrooms, and the year it was built. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. It can be done, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So if you can show them what is on the market now, what your competition is, independent of the listing, then they can see, okay, if I had this brand new kitchen, I'm going to get a better price. And they can kind of observe that for themselves, internalize that, and get used to the fact. Now, do you want to upgrade your kitchen before you list? No, you probably don't. So we're going to have to accept a little bit lower on the sales price. So I like to get them as prepared as possible before we actually go see the listing. Another piece of information that you're going to want to make known to them, especially when you're trying to coordinate a sale and a purchase, that is going to be something that is going to take a lot of your time and a lot of your coordination. You want to make sure that if you can't get them to close on the same day, then they have another place that they can stay for a little bit. This is going to be an opportunity for you to get that information from them. A lot of times people do have places to stay in the interim, they just don't want to. So knowing that ahead of time is going to give you a lot of power and a lot of information that you're going to be able to use to coordinate. As much as we try, there's always going to be some sort of hiccup. So,
A question?
Yeah.
With the way the market's running right now and stuff sitting on the market a little bit longer,
Yeah.
if you have a seller who's asking, okay, well, I need to move, but I got to figure out how that's going to work with finding another home. And do I list first? Do I find the other one first? Do we do it at the same time? What's the best thing to do right now with the way things are moving? What do you recommend?
I'm so glad you asked that question.
Because that's a question that's going to come up like almost every time.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
I'm
the
sure it's
question
different in
they're
each
asking.
market. When things are moving fast and things are moving slow, it's going to be
Right.
different.
Right. So what I always recommend, or in this particular market, what I did recommend is that we go make sure that they're going to be comfortable with the purchase. So I'm going to be focused on their purchase until we make sure that they're going to be comfortable with the new payment amount. Because the first thing he walked in and said to me was, I want lower payments. Well, his mortgage payment is $1,600 now. Now that's without taxes and insurance. So if you adjust it for that, it's like 24. But still, that's a really low payment. I don't think to get him what he wants, he's going to get a lower payment. He's going to be a higher payment. So use the information that you're gaining from your client to then make the decision. That's what your value is. That's what they're going to be looking to you for. Now, if he came in and he says, I realize my payment's going to go up. I want a bigger house. I'm comfortable with a $4,000 payment. Now, if he had walked in like that, now my my focus is now going to be on the sale because I am not going to have a struggle with that purchase. He's going to be pretty happy with his payment no matter what it is. So it just depends on these answers to the questions. So a lot of the listing appointment is going to be you getting information from them so that you can give them the proper or appropriate information back. So in this case, since he is worried about his payment amount, I'm going to show him homes and try and get him to at least commit to a payment amount and a certain style or price of house, location, and then based on the availability of that, then I'm going to make some more recommendations. But at this point, I don't know. But we are going to look at houses first because I need to know that he's going to be happy with, buying. So, and there's our agents who would not go about it that way. I go about it that way because I care. I don't want him in a situation where, okay, your house is in escrow. What are we going to do? And force his hand on that. I want him to be comfortable with the decision that he makes ahead of time and not force him to, take something that he's feels like he doesn't have a choice now. So, and I have noticed that, going off of what you said, Monica, giving them a choice, letting them be a partner in the process, there are agents out there that are really bullies that do not give their clients a choice or any kind of say in the process. They're just, what they do is tell
It's
their
not they're
client.
not giving them a choice. They're not telling them about the alternate options.
Right,
They're
right,
just saying,
exactly.
here's what we should do.
Mhm. Yeah. And then if they have any questions, they kind of make them feel stupid, which I don't think is a very good way to be with your client. I don't see that being um, something that they'll want to come back to, like when they're going to sell the house that they bought from you, they're not going to come back to you. If that's how they felt during the transaction, like you were making them feel stupid. I would rather help them be smarter. If they have a question, we'll help them understand, what they're doing instead of saying, well, you don't know that. It's just not a good feeling. All right, so back to the listing appointment. So after we kind of have our first discussion in the office or offsite, then the next appointment would be in their house. So that's when you can have them tour the home with you. Monica also mentioned some things on this checklist which are very, very important. When they give you the address, you want to, depending on how well you know them, you'll want to see their ID and then you'll want to run a property profile to see who's on that deed. You do not want to get yourself into a situation where you just trust them, everything they say. This is my house and I have the right to sell it, only to find out down the road that they didn't have the right to sell it. So you want to be sure and check those. Even if you do know them, you still want to check how the house is
Especially if it's a
titled.
married couple, right? Like
Yeah,
if you're only talking to one of them, but there's two people on title, they're both going to have to make that decision together, and you want that person in the room. You don't want it to be you talk to one and then they talk to each other.
yeah, yeah. A lot of times, if couples are going through a divorce, he'll get his friend that's a realtor, she'll get her friend that's a realtor, and then you have two realtors that are trying to figure out whose listing is this. So yeah, that's really important. Does everybody know how to use the software Aaron gave us access to? I can't remember the name, but it's
Hi,
the
Court.
yeah. Does everybody know how to use that? How to run a net sheet? How to run a buyer's estimate?
No.
Oh, then we need to do a class on that because that's so important, especially when you're going into these meetings. You want to be able to tell your seller how much he's going to net at the end, and the only way to do that is to run a net sheet. You can ask Tanya; she will run one for you. But I think it's so important that you are able to do it out in the field when you need to do it. If you have to wait for a net sheet, that could put a damper on your discussion because you need those numbers, when you need them. You don't know beforehand a lot of times. So let's go over that next week. I'd like everybody to know how to do that, especially when you're dealing with somebody who's buying or selling and then buying, as they will do. You are going to have to make those reports kind of work together because the proceeds from your sale is going to be the number you use as the down payment on your purchase. So you're going to need to make both of those reports work together so that you can see, is this number one feasible for this person? And you don't want to have to rely on the lender to do these preliminary steps because you want to know that it's feasible. The worst thing is to get someone excited over a house that they'll have no opportunity to ever buy because based on the equity on their home that they're selling and based on their income, it's just not possible. So you want to keep them in the realm of possibility. And it's only through these reports that you're going to be able to do that. Now, when it comes to the actual stuff and the actual loan and all that, yes, leave it to the lender, but you want to be able to steer them into the right ballpark. So those are also pieces of information that you're going to want to have. Another piece of information that's very, very important, especially when you're coordinating the purchase and the sale, is the days on market. You want to know what to tell your seller, how long they should wait before they should get concerned that my house isn't moving. If you're right now, we're looking at a days on market around 24 days, at least in this area, in that price point. And also, depending on the area, the price point, and the type, you may have a different days on market. So be sure to get specific. And does everybody know where to find that information? It's on your car. Your car membership gives you access to that kind of data. So go to car.org and then go to Industry 360. And then in there, you'll have all the reports that you can run specific to the town. You can get it, you can drill down all the way to the city. So if you look in the city at the, well, I guess you can't drill to price point. You can if you look at your individual comps. Find your individual comps that you are looking at and the most recently sold, and you can also look at that for your days on market.
Okay, so we'll have another training on how
Yes,
to
we
use
will.
the resources to
Yeah.
find all of the neighborhood stats that you need to know for that area, like days on market, sales over list price, the average, comp values, the types of homes that are being sold there, the demographics, things like that.
All
It's
of it.
it's really easy to pull it, and then when you show it to them, they're like, "Oh my God, you found so much information." Blah blah blah. They're even if it's not to impress, it makes them feel more comfortable that you know what you're doing and you understand the market that they're in
Yeah.
and their neighborhood really well. Because even the one thing people don't realize is days on market doesn't include escrow. It's from when something starts being marketed until an offer is accepted. So if someone is looking at days on market and says, oh, homes are selling in 23 days, no, homes are going into escrow in 23 days.
Yeah.
And then you have to add typical escrow time of 30 days on top of that. And that's from when we start until you'll have money in your pocket.
And that's if you get no problems.
That's if you're average.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're getting down payment assistance, add 15 days to that. If you're not fully underwritten, add whatever, 5 days to that. Yeah. So it's yeah, we'll definitely do a training on that as well. I think that's really important to know where to find this information. All right, now you are getting ready to go to their home and have the tour. Now, I like to when between the first meeting and the second meeting, I also like to have my client talk to the lender because of the purchase aspect of this deal. They need to get pre-qualified. If they can't get pre-qualified, then, they're not going to be able to sell. And like I said before, you do not want to set them up to fail. You want to make sure that this is going to be smooth, they're going to be happy, and they're going to tell all their friends about you and how wonderful of a job that you did in coordinating this. So between the meeting that you have first and the second one at their house, you're going to want to hook them up with a lender. I like to do it where when they're sitting there in the office with me, I just get the lender on the phone and I say, hey, I have a introduction I want you to I want to make. And you just I put it on speaker and I just have a conversation. And then once they're comfortable, I usually do it with Scott. So Scott says, hey, what time's a good time to chat for 30 minutes? And then they actually make the appointment right then and there. And it's usually within a day or two of that moment. So that there's less possibility that they're going to try and back out or get scared or whatever. You do a warm handoff. It's not a here's a number, call this person. That's difficult for them sometimes. So making it as easy as possible is a good thing. So that when you are going to their home the very next week or whenever it is, don't make it too long, that they'll have talked to the lender at that time. You will have heard from the lender, and the lender will have told you, yes, we can get them qualified for this amount of money. Now you have even more information that goes into that pot that helps you to give your expert professional opinion and advice for them. If you end up meeting and they haven't talked to the lender, you can still talk to them, definitely still go through with the appointment, but I would not go looking at homes just yet. So at the second appointment, you want to be ready. You want to have all of the information that you know so far. You want to have the CMA put together. You want to have days on market. You want to have your net sheet, your buyer's estimates. You want to have all that together. And what I like to do is bind it in a really nice packet so that you can there's different ways you can do it. You can drop it off ahead of time so that they have it when you get there and they've had a chance to kind of thumb through it. You can bring it with you. You can email it. There's different ways, and you'll know just by the interactions that you've had so far which is the best way to do it. I think you got to listen to your gut, especially in these types of interactions. Your gut's going to tell you which way is the best way to go. I like to email it ahead. That way they know what we're going to be going over. I don't usually drop it off, but that's something that you could definitely do. But then I bring it with me as well. Now with the CMAs, the cloud CMAs, you can also prepare a like a presentation. So you can actually do like a little slide deck, have a slide deck that you go through and to talk through your report. You can do it that way. I've done it that way. It works really nice. Or you can just give them the book and you go through each page by page. It is something you want to go through with them though, because they will not know where to begin when you give them a nice thick book. It's going to feel overwhelming because there is a lot of information. But in that CMA, you're going to have your resume. You're going to be able to tell them and show them why you are qualified. You're going to have a letter to them that says, that I'm happy to be working with you. That, here are the expectations that you can have when it comes to our dealings together. It's going to contain just general information like listing your property, like what Monica said, the days on market, that's just getting you into escrow. Then you have, 30 to 45 days in escrow. Tips for moving, tips for packing. It's going to have a lot of information. So you just want to go over it and show them where those things are at. So if they want to go over it more in detail, they can after you leave. Now, when you're in your first appointment, remember, you talked about our range and you explained to them based on the condition of the property, it's going to fall lower or higher end of the range. So once you tour the home, now you're going to be able to give them a more accurate suggested list price. But I like what Monica said, see what they have to say. Let them chime in. They might surprise you, if you're thinking maybe 650 because they have some things they need to fix, maybe they'll say 630 and they'll surprise you. And then you can say, well, maybe we could go 635, and kind of give them that good news. So yeah, you want to when you're there, you want to let them tour you. They're going to give you information about different things that they've done. If they had like some upgrade put in, they're going to tell you that. Like I just had the water heater replaced 2 years ago. This is information that you are going to use to build your listing in the MLS when it comes that time. With you too, you're going to want to bring the listing agreement with you. I sometimes bring it paper, depends on my client, but the preferred way for me is to go through the listing with them so that I can just ask them questions. Who do we lose? Chastity.
Just, yeah.
We are actually out of time, so I want to end it there. But if you have any specific questions, I can answer them now. But you have this checklist that's absolutely wonderful.
And I would say, sorry, oh, damn. Okay. When you're going through the house with them, um, they always want to talk about the stuff that they did to the house, the stuff that they didn't like about the house that they changed, right? But I think it's a really good time when they're walking through the home to ask them questions like, what do you like about this house? What's your favorite thing about this house? What do you like about the neighborhood? What's your favorite thing to do in the area? What changed that you loved about this that you didn't realize was going to be the case? Because those can be really good promo stories when you go to sell it. You could talk about that to the next buyer who maybe wouldn't have known about those features
Yeah.
or that aspect that even you wouldn't know because you don't live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to also go to the neighbors and just talk to the neighbors and ask them, what, name one great thing about this neighborhood, and then use that in the listing. Neighbors say blah 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 blah. Use everything you can to promote the house. Yeah. Listing appointments are fun. They're not all alike. you'll know what to do when it's time to do it. But these are good. This is a great checklist. I think a checklist is the best way to go when it comes to something like this, because you're going to do different things with different people because they're different. They have different needs, they have different wants, they have different restrictions on them. And so everyone will be different. Anytime you have a listing agreement, I mean, a listing appointment, or even appointment with a client, and then you don't even know what it is, it's just a meeting. I'm happy to tag along, or, whatever. I'm happy to help in any way I can. All right, we're gonna wrap it
Yeah,
up
nobody's
there.
gonna trip on that if you bring somebody. Yeah,
What?
I was gonna say, nobody's gonna. It's a meeting, that's always a good thing in my opinion, because they just feel like they're getting more.
Mhm. Yeah. And I would do things like you chose a really great agent. She's fabulous. The last client she had was so happy. I'll do all that stuff. That's what's good about having a partner with you. They can fan
Mhm.
the flame. All righty. Well, we'll end it there, but next week we're going to go through the CMA. We're going to all learn how to do the CMA. Like I said earlier, Monica and I are going to work on getting the topics out for future groups, so that everyone knows what we're going to be talking about, and what you will gain at the end, so that you can manage your expectations. And if you have a suggestion or something you need to know, send it over. Let me know. Let us know. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day.
Take your
Yeah.
vitamins, don't get sick.
Yeah.
Ah,
Correct.
Seriously. Feel better.
I'm fine, I just
Uh,
sound messed up.
Yeah.
all right. See you
bye.
guys later.
Have a good one. Feel better. See you all
Bye.
later.
Bye.